In today's video, we take a thoughtful look at the intricacies of governance and credibility in Saudi. Ours is to look into how Gayton Mackenzie went from Mabahambe to mark me absent. Now, could the minister have trouble finding, his way around navigating challenges related to accountability, or could the situation be a reflection of communication difficulties and perceptions?
Molini, and welcome to yet another episode of Conversations with Nkosi. Now, this is the news commentary section where we will be offering insightful commentary and exploring various perspectives on the stories that shape our world.
Let's rewind. Gayton Mackenzie, Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, has made headlines with his promise for radical reform. He entered the role vowing to cut waste, expose corruption, and restore dignity to neglected sectors. However, the man who promised transparency has now missed at least 5 committee meetings, including one with SAFA, an organization grappling with its own accountability issues. His absences are not only noticeable, but are also very much controversial. The minister claims that his absence was due to an official visit. With that context in mind, let us delve into this article. Sports, Arts and Culture Minister Gayton Mackenzie has hit back at reports that he is absconding from portfolio committee meetings. The minister is currently undertaking an official visit to Brazil and never run away from accountability, he said in a post on social media, where he explained his absence from recent meetings. All the ministers of BRICS meet once a year to agree on the work, plans and collaboration that governs our partnership, he said. The minister explained that he had instructed his team to attend meetings while he met with his counterparts from the UAE, Brazil, Indonesia, Russia, China, Ethiopia, Iran, Egypt, and India. We agreed on the way forward and signed the document and also held bilaterals with some ministers. I shall appear on June 10 to answer whichever allegations or correction, but I could simply not miss the meeting. Let's not play politics by characterizing me as running away from answering any questions, he said. Mackenzie has been slammed for failing to attend recent meetings, including a briefing this week on the South African Football Association's 2023-2024 annual report, which covered audited financial statements and governance issues. Other members of the portfolio committee were present, including SAFA President Danny Jordan, who was grilled by DA's Liam Jacobs over his leadership and travel expenses. However, Mackenzie and his deputy Peace Mabe were absent. An apology was read to the committee, explaining that Mackenzie was on an official visit to Brazil, while Mabe was attending the Select Committee on Education, Science and Innovation. However, the explanation did not satisfy several members who expressed growing concern over what they described as a pattern of absence. One of those who voiced frustration was ANC MP Khabo. I think this is the 5th meeting, if not the 6th, where the minister is not attending. Khabo said Mackenzie's continued absence has become the norm and undermines the committee's work to a large extent. The minister has concluded that he is not going to account to this portfolio committee. He said, in the last meeting, we resolved that the minister must be summoned to appear before the committee. It's for that reason I raised the matter of his unavailability again. He said the apology should be rejected and that the committee must produce a report on what has been done to follow through on summoning the minister. Khabo also accused Mackenzie of avoiding official platforms and opting instead to respond to committee matters through social media. But the minister would rather run to X, formerly Twitter, or other social networking platforms to rebut the views raised in the proper forum. This portfolio committee, he said, this matter cannot be taken lightly. We are not running a social media government seeking likes. Meanwhile, committee chairperson Joe McClough agreed and said the apology was insufficient. I think this applies to the deputy minister as well. It's about time she comes to a meeting and clarifies her designated area of responsibility, he said. Whether it's sports, arts and culture, whatever the case may be, we cannot proceed in this fashion. The apology must be recorded as unsatisfactory. EFF MP Eugene Mthethwa also raised concerns. Any organization knows that if you are an executive and you miss 3 consecutive meetings, you're removed. This must apply here, he said. He urged the committee to develop a formal policy on ministerial appearances. We cannot keep addressing this in bits and pieces. Let us note that we do not accept the minister's apology, Mthethwa added. McLoa repeated that Mackenzie's continued absence was unacceptable, especially when important decisions were on the table. The minister is accountable to Parliament. There are matters only he can answer, McLoa said. He referenced the National Sports and Recreation Act, which states that every sports body must submit annual reports to both the department and Parliament. In the future, when federations appear before us, we may proceed without the ministry present. We are wasting our time because of their absenteeism, he said. McLoa also criticized the trend of Mackenzie acting independently of the committee, citing the dissolution of entities like Silapa without briefing Parliament. He also expressed concern over the ongoing delays in filling senior departmental posts. In October 2024, we were told by the minister that the Director General would be appointed by November. It's June 2025 and key posts remain vacant, he said. McLoa added that the verification and final selection process falls under Mackenzie's purview and that despite promises to expedite the hiring, little progress has been made. We are in crisis mode with Minister Mackenzie, he said. It is only this committee that can bring this to an end. Football South Africa and the public at large will be disappointed to learn that the minister was again absent for this long-anticipated engagement with the Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture. Guys, the link to this article will be in the description box below. Now let us get into what we got from this article alone. Mackenzie claims that, he was abroad on BRICS business, engaging with international counterparts to enhance Saudi's global standing in arts and sports. That may sound noble, but let's peel back the layers. Yes, diplomacy matters. Ebile, these ministers could learn a thing or two about, being diplomatic from Cupcake. Yes, international partnerships are valuable, but you cannot claim to serve the people abroad while dodging the people's representatives at home. Parliament isn't a formality. It's the constitutional seat of oversight, accountability, and public trust. The very essence of ministerial responsibility lies in facing scrutiny, especially from committees specifically set up to track your department's performance. And here's where Mackenzie's absence becomes more than just bad scheduling. It looks like, a deliberate avoidance of democratic checks and balances, especially for someone who came chanting transparency, change, Mabahambe, The Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Sports, Arts and Culture, where he's missed multiple meetings, didn't reject his BRICS explanation outright, but they rightly asked why these international trips always seem to conflict with local obligations. I mean, if transformation and delivery are his priority, as he claimed, why can't the minister make time for the one platform designed, to assess progress? Let's not forget that this is not an isolated incident. It's not a once-off thing. It happened more than once. And then you have, the EFF MP, Eugene Mthethwa, who warned that repeated absences could trigger automatic dismissal under parliamentary rules. So he's not just asking for the minister's presence, but he is also asking, for consequences. You also have, the committee chairperson, McLoa, who was blunt. And, he called the minister's explanations unsatisfactory, signaling that Parliament may start holding briefings without the minister or his department present. And that's not a, procedural issue. It's a symbolic breakdown of engagement between the executive and the legislature. You then also have ANC MP Ukgabo, who raised a deeply unsettling point, being that Minister Mackenzie's chronic absenteeism is now threatening the integrity of Parliament's oversight function itself. If ministers can skip meetings without consequence, what precedent, are they then setting for transparency within the government? Now, this is about more than one man and a few missed sessions. It's about the erosion of, accountability. It's about a political figure who built his brand on reform and results, who has now begun to seemingly dodge the very mechanisms that are designed to evaluate reform and measure the same results that he promised. And in a nation that is currently grappling with corruption the way we are, collapsing public institutions and public distrust is not enough to explain, away, especially absence. So we need commitment backed by presence, not performance backed by posts. I turn to social media. Some of Minister Mackenzie's critics have noted, that his public engagement is far more visible on social media than within formal government structures, which opens up a broader question. Are we witnessing a shift towards a social media government, which prioritizes visibility over accountability? Of course, platforms like, X can be useful tools for communication. Not downplaying that, but real governance doesn't unfold in hashtags. It unfolds in committee hearings, legislative briefings, and policy implementation. If transformation is truly the goal, it must extend beyond curated posts and into the spaces where decisions are debated and scrutinized. And on the note of, balancing international work and local oversight, to be fair, international diplomacy is a legitimate part of any minister's portfolio. No one is disputing that. Engagements with BRICS counterparts can be valuable for positioning Saudi globally, in arts and sports. However, this does not negate the need for domestic accountability. If the minister was genuinely unavailable, why wasn't a senior delegate appointed to brief Parliament in his place? Why is there a recurring pattern of missed meetings without apparent coordination? And you also have the deputy who's also, hopping in on this trend. So this is not solely about Minister Mackenzie. It is a reflection of a deeper issue within political culture, where there's this tendency to be present for public praise, but absent from institutional accountability. Mr. Mackenzie has carved out an image, of being bold, straight talking, and being a reformer. But reform must include respect for due process, especially when one holds public office. And if Parliament allows these absences to go unchecked, it risks normalizing executive evasion at a time when, public confidence in governance is already fragile. But then again, that will not be foreign to Parliament, because being absent is a thing now. And in closing, accountability is not optional, it is not seasonal, and it can't be delegated away. Mr. Mabahambe may face the committee as he claims he will, but that alone will not answer the bigger questions, being, will he commit to consistency? Will Parliament hold the executive to a higher standard? And most importantly, will South Africans accept performative governance in the age of collapsing service delivery?
That marks the end of today's video. Thank you so much for lending your eyes and ears. I hope that you found today's video informative. Please do not forget to click on that subscription button or light the notification bell so that you do not miss out on any new uploads. Nkosi.